Hi everybody, this is Miss Corey and I'm going to give you instructions for your Unit 2 summative. Yay! So with your Unit 2 summative, my screen might look a little different than your screen right now because I'm in teacher view, but I gave you a bunch of links under the Unit 2 summative, so watch this video to get the instructions. Well, that's what you're watching right now, so good job. Here's a link to Miss Corey's example. Here's the link to the big list of pharaohs that you can choose from. And here's the link to the rubric. And then, of course, in your assignment, you have this link right here. That is going to be your template for this whole Unit 2 summative. So what you're going to do for this Unit 2 summative is you are going to make a Google Slides about any pharaoh you want. Well, okay, there's a few exceptions. Any pharaoh you want on the big list of pharaohs. How about that? All right, so what you're going to do first is you're probably going to want to click on your template, okay? So this is what the template's going to look like. As you can see, there's really nothing written in it, or is there? There actually is. So if you go through slides 2 through 7 in the speaker's notes, I have put, here, let me make this bigger. I've put what you need to include in all of your slides. Isn't that great? I'll go through all of those on my example so you can see what I did. As you go through and make your slideshow, feel free to make it pretty. You don't have to leave it as like a blank background because, you know, that's boring. All right. So, let me go back here. All right, so the next one is, here's a link to Miss Corey's example. So I'm going to walk you through what I did for my example. So here's my example here. I did Akhenaten. Remember that was that one like kind of crazy dude who we talked about last week at some point. Yeah. Okay, so I did that one. You cannot do him because I already did him. So for your first slide, you're going to want the name of your pharaoh and then your name below. All right, so second slide. On this slide, you're going to include all the following. You're going to include a picture of art or a statue of the pharaoh like I did here. What years did he or she rule? Now, this might vary depending on the source that you have. Just choose one. What dynasty was he or she from? Who was the pharaoh before him or her? Who was the pharaoh after him or her? Was she married or he or she married? And then to who? If you can find that out, sometimes that's really hard to find out. If you can't, that's okay. You can just say married to unknown person if you can't find it. But if you do find it, please put it in. Or if you can find how many spouses they had and how many children they had. So up here, here's my example. Okay, so Akhenaten, he was from 1352 to 36. He was part of the 18th dynasty. His previous pharaoh was Amenhotep III, who was his father. The pharaoh following him was Tutankhamun, which is his nephew, maybe his son? Question mark. And then he was married to Nefertiti, and he had 6 daughters. Okay. So on slide 3, you're going to answer the following question. What was foreign relations like between your pharaoh and other countries / kingdoms / cities? Now, this question is super open-ended, okay? You could take this many different directions. So I've given you a little bit more guiding questions below this. But for example, when I'm talking about Akhenaten, like he did a ton of stuff with foreign relationships. So if you have a pharaoh that historians know a lot of information about, you don't have to write everything. Okay, just choose like one really big thing that he or she might have done. So I said declared war on the Hittite Empire, battled for the city Kadesh in Israel, and he was unsuccessful and the Hittites took Kadesh. Okay. Um, as you're looking for like foreign relations with your pharaoh, you might come across words that you don't know of like places. So I put some of them down here. So like Nubia, Cush, Israel, Lebanon, Assyria, Babylonia, Levant, Anatolia, Byblos, Hittites, Palestine, Jericho, Syria, Libya, Sumer, Cyprus. Okay, those are all locations So as you're reading, if you see like one of those words, that's probably a good cue that that like place where you're reading is going to talk about a foreign relation. And there's more than just this, by the way, as well. These are just some of the more popular locations that will pop up. All right, so after you answer that question, you're going to answer one of the following questions. Were there any wars? Um, were there political marriages? Or were there invasions or annexations? Okay. Um, so, for example, um, I talked about like invasions. So I did the Amarna letter EA362, which is a cuneiform tablet. It was found in the city of Amarna. You don't need to know where that is. And it was written by the Byblos governor, so that was an ancient city, asking Akhenaten to send archers and invaders. Okay, so that's kind of like what, like, were there invasions? Like, yeah, there was, and from this tablet we can know that. All right. So next up, you're going to answer at least two of the following. What kind of monuments were built for this pharaoh? So things like obelisks, pyramids, temples, etc. Where was this pharaoh buried or believed to be buried? Sometimes it's not known exactly where they are buried, and that's okay. And are there any inscriptions, poems, letters, or other written work about this pharaoh? Okay. So, like my example is that he built the great temple of Aten in Akhenaten. No, Akhetaten. There you go. Remember that was his capital city name? Yeah. Temple. So it was a temple offering food, drink, perfume, and flowers. Um, he also built the Bureau of Correspondence of Pharaoh in Akhetaten, which had 300 plus letters about the government affairs. And then about his burial, he was originally buried in Akhenaten, but his tomb was raided and his body was moved to the Valley of the Kings. And here's a cute little picture of his coffin. All right, for the fifth slide, you're going to place 3 or more examples of artworks of your pharaoh. Okay. So this could include things like statues, jewelry, reliefs. I didn't talk about reliefs before, but what reliefs are is like those are those kind of like drawing, kind of like sculptures on the walls. So this would be considered a relief right here, where he's sacrificing the duck. So make sure you put captions of where you found these pictures off the internet and a small description of the artwork. Okay, I found all these off of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Try it out. They have some really good photos and they explain what all the photos are. Um, and yeah, they're a really good resource too to get information on for the rest of the slides too. So highly suggest that. All right. The sixth slide is you need to answer at least 2 of the following. How is this pharaoh known today? So what museums have the pharaoh's artwork, monuments, or inscriptions? Can you go visit his or her tomb? Is there a mummy you can visit? Is your pharaoh a part of a large tourist destination in Egypt? Are there any books written about this pharaoh? Any historians famous for researching such pharaoh? So you just need to answer 2 of the following questions. Mine include like at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, Egypt, there's a reconstruction of the sarcophagus, so that's kind of like a casket. And then, oh, I said some other stuff too. Um, but also that there is a book called Egypt's Golden Couple by Darnell and Darnell. So there's a book written about them. That's cool. All right, so then on slide 7, you are going to do a works cited. Okay, so this is where you can either go to EasyBib or any other online citation maker and do an MLA citation for all the websites that you got information off of. Britannica, did I spell it wrong there? Anyway, has a citation tab on the top of all their pages, which is like super duper nice. I really like Britannica. I really highly suggest getting information from them. You need at least 2 resources. And for this assignment, Wikipedia is okay, just because sometimes with some of the pharaohs, there's not a whole lot of information out there. Let me think what else was I going to say about that. Yes. Oh, Google Docs does also have a citation maker. I can't find it for Google Slides though. So if you know how to do that, that's cool. If you don't and you want to learn how, you can let me know and I will help you with that. Okay, so going back, next up, I'm going to go through, how about let's go through the rubric next, if I have it up. All right, so here's the rubric that I'll be grading every single one of your slideshows based upon, okay? So one of the things I didn't mention before is that all of your slides need to have a picture on it, except for the works cited, of course, and the title slide. Also that students, you put like a caption below all the pictures of where you got the pictures. So for some of mine, like if I just got them from Britannica, I just put like Britannica below, with the exception of that slide that you need 3 pictures of like artwork and description. Okay, so you need a little bit more than that on that slide. Um, I will let you go through all of this. Most of it is our stuff I've already mentioned. But if you really want to know the nitty gritty of it, uh, feel free to take a look at this rubric. Um, and the total for this summative is out of 33 points. So that's more than your Unit 1 test was. All right, and the last thing I want to show you is the big list of Egyptian pharaohs. Yay. So all of these pharaohs on this list are fair game to use, but I will warn you right now, a lot of these pharaohs, or I shouldn't say a lot, there's a handful of these pharaohs that historians know like nothing about, like maybe just their name. And you're like, oh, I really want to do that pharaoh, but there's nothing about that pharaoh. Choose another pharaoh. All right. Make sure you choose a pharaoh that has enough information that you can fill out all of your slides. Um, let's see here. Oh, another thing too, the way that I spell the Egyptian pharaoh's name might be different than what like Wikipedia or Britannica has. That's fine. Just use whichever way you want to spell it. Let's see here, what else? Yeah, so you can choose any of these pharaohs. If you have questions about the pharaohs or you want a suggestion for me, please let me know. I can certainly do that. Or if you're like, I really want to know more about this pharaoh, but I just can't find a whole lot of resources on it, you can also email me and I'll try to help you find some information about that pharaoh. All right? Pretty cool. Oh, there's Akhenaten and Tutankhamun. Those are the only 2 you can't do. Okay. All right. Cool. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know, or if something's not working or if something doesn't make sense, let me know, please. Okay? If not, that's all I got. Bye.